Hey everyone, welcome back. It is Icon. Thank you so much for checking out another episode of Esports Analysis. As we hop into this one, we are on board with ENVOY, and there's a few things to look out for in this scrim. So they are playing Seattle's new roster. I'll just say overall, they went like 4-1 over the course of this, and Proto, the new player, was okay in some, right? He went like -10 in a couple. There was one where he led his team. So it's just that adjustment period, right? This is kind of like the first scrim or the first day of scrimming that he's really been a part of that team. So we'll see how they adjust as the next couple weeks end up going on. The other thing is that there was an update yesterday, probably about 24 hours ago now as you're watching this, and in that update they address spawns a little bit. So if you've been watching scrims or you've been following pro players and coaches on Twitter and stuff like that, there does seem to be kind of a phantom change to a lot of the different spawns that teams are getting. You might hear it mentioned or you might not in the latter half of this match when we actually go ahead and listen into team comms. But there are definitely some things that are a little bit different. I don't know if we'll see them today, but just something to watch out for as we move forward here. But with that, as we hop into the analysis, we're about to rotate back to P2. We just did that in Chicago. So a couple things here. First of all, they got the beneficial spawn, right? They spawn on the side of the map that you want to spawn on because it's closer to P2, but they ended up giving up that spawn. So they gave up that spawn, but it's not probably going to hurt them too much just because of the fact that they locked down 52 points on the first hardpoint. So that's kind of the thing, right? Especially with P2. P2 is kind of a money hill on this. So is P4. This side of the map is really a money hill on this map in particular. But if you're able to just get a ton of points inside of P1, then not having spawns and not having map control for P2 doesn't really hurt you all that much. Just because at the end of the second hill, it's basically going to be a tie ball game. In fact, they're going to end up having the lead actually. So it's not going to hurt them too much that they ended up giving up those spawns. So within the next couple seconds here, as we're about to rotate to P3, I really like what I'm seeing right now out of Chicago. Let me pause this. Let's hop into the map breakdown. And if I'm watching, so if we're looking at this map, left-hand side of your screen, we're entering P3, right? And right now, Chicago has these spawns. So everything's perfectly fine. You're about to max out, get a ton of time inside of P3. The other really nice thing about what I'm seeing them do right now is if we just look real quick at where ENVOY is set up, he's over here kind of on the left hand side of BDOM. But if we're looking at the mini map, which up here in the top left hand corner of your screen, if you're looking at the mini map up here, you can see that there are even two green arrows ahead of him. So what that's telling me is that so if you want to hold down P3, then you have to get like this cutoff and this cutoff, right? You want to get those three lanes locked down. But the way that you get a ton of time inside of P3 is if you can get kills in this area and still lock down, obviously, this flank over here from P1. So the further you can push up the map, the more you guarantee yourselves in terms of getting time inside the current hardpoint. So that's really what I'm seeing right now from Chicago. I love the fact that they're pushed up. I love the fact that they're taking these gun battles out towards the middle of the map, because if we were in like Codcaster mode and we can see who's sitting inside the hardpoint, they've got nothing to worry about, right? There's nobody, even whoever's sitting back there. I really wish I could see, but that person can basically just put his controller down, go get a sandwich, come back 50 seconds later, and he'd be fine, just because they're getting all those kills up towards mid-map, and that's really what you want to see. With about 28 seconds left in this current hardpoint, you do, if you're Chicago, want to think about rotating to the opposite side of the map, because like we mentioned earlier, P4 is kind of a money hill on this map, and if you're entering P5, you want to be entering P5 from the right-hand side of the map also. So we'll see what they end up doing here, if they're able to flip, or if they're just, again, they probably know, let me make this point real quick. They probably know going into this scrim that they have a little bit of an advantage, right? So they could also just be practicing other things, trying other breaks, breaking hills or holding hills from the opposite side of the map. These are all things that could be going on right now. We don't know because we're not privy to those conversations and that information and whatnot. But Still, we'll see what happens as we move forward. That spawn right there by ENVOY tells us that there's somebody pushing out the backhand side of the map. Let me go ahead. Let's pause this. Let's bring up the mini-map just so you guys can see exactly what's happening. If ENVOY spawns here and the enemy team has P4 and they're spawning back here, how would ENVOY spawn there? The only reason why he would spawn there is if Chicago has somebody that's already pushed through to P2, right? If they have that top side of the map control, then that would spawn ENVOY towards blue courtyard. If they didn't have anybody pushed up, so say for example, this is where the rest of Chicago was, then he would spawn back here with them. So that gives you a little bit of an insight into why he spawned in that area that he spawned at. We'll see if they're able to break. They are kind of... So we'll see. Let's see where he spawns right here because... Okay, yeah, so he spawned back on P2. Now, something that you just saw from right there is that he pushed up and he got those kills outside of P1, right? So as they pushed through the back of P2, that meant that Seattle, so they successfully spawned Seattle back out of the P4 spawn and they pushed them up into that P1 spawn. So that's exactly what we were seeing right there. With 58 seconds left, ENVOY's in the hill. They've got a solid 60-point lead, and we'll just see if they're able to hold this here. I do like the fact, I prefer the fact that they're approaching P5 from the right-hand side of the map, although it looked like Arcides went down. He was the person that's in the back kind of holding those spawns. So if I'm watching the mini-map in the top left-hand corner, you can see those green arrows come up to ENVOY's left, which means spawns did flip. So that kill on ENVOY, or that kill on Arcides, was pretty big because that forced them to flip. But it doesn't seem as though they're going to give up the hill at the moment, right? So if we're thinking about this, you don't have spawns. If you're Chicago, you don't have spawns for P2. Nice kills right there from ENVOY, but you don't have spawns for P2. So if you're Chicago, you want to get as much time as you can inside of P5 right here, and then try your hardest to get time inside of P1 also. Now, ENVOY's going on a full flank here. He's trying to pinch from their side of the map. It looks like spawns flipped again, and you can see right here, oh boy, oh, that was rough. So he almost had it there, but the whole point of that is that right now they know that everything's coming from the opposite side of the map. So if Seattle knows that ENVOY is coming from this side, or that Chicago is coming from this side of the map, and ENVOY pinches from behind them, that's an easy way to break that hill. It just so happens that he got caught by Pander that was throwing a nade and he missed a couple shots on him, but that's what the entire plan was there. But we're already at 180 points. Best thing about scrims is that we can go ahead, we can listen into their conversation. So at this point in time, let's go ahead, let's listen into their team comms and see what exactly Chicago's talking about as we move forward through the second set of rotations.
Deep
One river, Casey, absolute. Dead.
I'm holding rails, like blue court.
We got time?
Blue court.
I'm holding restaurant.
I can't get time, guys.
He's one shot, he's gonna kill me, dude, he's gonna kill me.
The size in new.
He's in new, back right corner, just side.
Got him dead.
Holy shit.
You can push a hotel. You can push a hotel.
L
Push
dead.
all the way out.
Top
Pressy
dead.
Yeah.
Let me pause this just one more time right here. Another thing that I'm seeing, and I really like this, is that as ENVOY spawned over here by P1, they had control of P2 and they had these back spawns, right? As I was looking at the minimap, they also have somebody pushed up over here just a little bit on the top side of P5. So this is exactly what we were talking about with P3, right? If you control P3 and you move out closer to mid-map, that's going to ensure you get time, more time, or all of that time inside of P3. Same thing is happening with P2 right now. As ENVOY came up with spawn, he went to wrap back, and as soon as he realized that they were getting kills out towards mid-map, now he's at top blue. So now they're focusing on getting kills in this range, right? If you control P1 spawns and you control that top side of the map, that means that Seattle's going to be spawning out towards mid-map. So now they're really working on just map control. They control the spawn by P2, they're pushed out over by P1, and they're pushed up top side of P5 over by water. So with all of that control, there's no way that Seattle can get even close to taking over P2. Let's go ahead, let's listen back in.
Oh, I'm P1 now, P1 guys, P1
He's weak in there, Alec.
I'm holding one bar.
Be careful of P1.
Okay, my bad.
Hey, River. Going top bar. Bottom bar is open.
One top bar.
Front door hurt. Top bar, top bar.
That was so confusing.
One more front.
Front door dead.
Top bar. Front door. I can't challenge it.
River spawn.
No one's front door, no one's front door. I got him. 2 more river, guys.
Hotel.
2 more river, 2 more hotel, I mean, 2 more hotel.
Combo.
Grenaded.
Still one off this, still one off this.
Just keep nading in front hill.
My front door.
Fort
More
dead.
hotel.
Another one front door, 2 front door, 3.
Hotel.
Looks like they only need a few more points. Are they going to be able to win it here? 3.
Can't do it.
Red car.
Good kill, Octane.
Doesn't look so. So it is going to go back to P3 on the opposite side of the map.
Choke. See elbow.
Hey, first spawns. We've been getting that first spawn a lot.
Yeah.
He's
Fine.
hurt line.
Just one shot to side.
I got that first one.
Side,
Right?
one shot first. Side, one shot first.
One of them did. The rest
One
of them
of
are spawning.
Hit this
That
shit.
makes sense.
I'm hitting that shit,
Hit
man.
that
Lay down,
shit,
dead.
dude.
Back right there.
Fucking shit.
Yeah.
After weak.
Back door.
Shit,
Wait, we choked that?
Oh my
No.
god.
Guys, you hit that shit.
Hit that shit and we failed that shit. One top ass.
I spawn left.
Oh, you motherfucker. Back door
Don't
hill laying
unleash
down.
me. Don't unleash me.
Back door hill laying down.
That's one first. Yeah, I've never gotten this one.
Nothing else.
All right, so you can kind of see they only need a couple extra points here, so they're probably not taking it too serious. They're probably just going to end up, well, I guess there it is right there. But you could see as that rotated back to P3 on the opposite side of the map, next set of rotations here, that this one was pretty much in the bag, right? They weren't even really taking this all this serious towards the end. If you think about it, they were already 3-1 on the first 4 maps, and then this one they were up 248 to 95 or something. So this one was basically a done deal. I do want to see the scoreboard here just so we can see overall. ENVOY 27 and 16, positive 11. Pristini was even, but he had a ton of hill time, led the team in score. Arcity's positive 1, Formal positive 1, Scump positive 2. So everybody from Chicago ended up doing well in the slaying column. Underneath, Slacked was positive 12, but Proto was negative 6, Apathy was even, Pander was negative 12, and Octane was negative 5. So there you have it, guys. Pretty decent showing from the new Seattle team, at least on the map Ramaza. If you want to go back, the Ramaza was the one that they ended up winning. The rest, they kind of got blown out. And I will say, this was a really nice job in this scrim of Chicago of being able to flip spawns kind of at will. Whenever they wanted to flip spawns, they were able to do it. So really nice job out of them. If you're new around here, you enjoy this sort of content, I put up brand new videos every single day breaking down Call of Duty League footage. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications. You guys have any comments on this one? What did you think of Seattle's new roster? I wish we could get one of their POVs, but of course they're not scrimming. Leave a like before you head on the way. It really helps out the channel. With that, guys, thank you so much. Hope you guys have a great weekend. I will catch you in tomorrow's upload.